Yo, what's up, guys? Happy fucking New Year's. Sun is almost going down, so I should make this video pretty fast. This is the, fifth, sixth time I'm trying to take this. I was supposed to make this video before New Year's. As I told one of you guys when you messaged me on Facebook of why I'm not making videos. Basically, I was going through about almost like a week of reflection at the end of 2017. And basically, I went through the journals of what I learned this year, what are my biggest mistakes, what are my plans for this coming year, wrote down my goals, which I'll share with you as well in this same series. I don't know how many videos this is going to be, all right, but it's going to be pretty long probably. What I wanted to do is basically share with you guys what I think is the most important thing when it comes to my success so far, and the parts that are going to play the biggest role in getting what I want to get in 2018, right? And this is where really pushing the pedal to the metal a bit is in 2018, right? Trying to be a bit more ambitious than usual, right? And don't be surprised. I mean, you shouldn't be surprised when I tell you that this has nothing to do with rankings, no techniques, no client acquisition, nothing at all. In fact, it's actually a journey that I started way before SEO, right? Way before selling life insurance, more towards around 2013, 14, where a friend of mine and I pretty much embarked on a journey, I guess I could call it that, where we started getting involved in spirituality, meditation, eating well, exercising, and really living from a user experience, as I like to call it, and seeing how life unfolds in that way, right? Basically, the foundations being around diet and exercise and stuff like that. So the reason why I failed at explaining this is because there's so much that happened, and me trying to really break down one by one, I wasn't being able to. Every time I took the video, I felt like I was missing some main jewels, and for such a topic which summarizes a pretty passionate time of my life, I didn't want to make it sound, I don't know, I didn't want to miss many of the big points. But after so many takes, I realized that I'm probably not gonna get it, so I'm just doing this as I normally do. I'll just spit out everything that comes to my mind, all right? Okay, guys, so this is literally what I truly believe is going to be the most important thing for me to get what I want. Not just that, but for me to excel in life holistically moving forward. All right, so this is what it starts with. Number one, I would say, is everything started with a schedule for me, right? Back in the time when I touched on the importance of schedules, but back when I started back then, my schedules used to be revolving around eating right and exercising right. So I might show you guys a sample, but basically in 2013-14, my schedule would look like what I would eat every single of my meal, like literally what I would drink after my meal and stuff like that, and then it would have exercise, and then exercise would have all the body parts I'm going to touch on for that day for the gym, and I used to go twice a day. And yeah, so that was how it started. Now, the reason I'm sharing with you this part is because as you move on, as you go, you start with some habits. Let's say you want to start eating right and getting the habit of exercising right. In the beginning, that's going to be most of your stuff. But as you move on, let's say the next year, that whole half of the page that just says all your exercise parts could be summarized into one word: exercise. So I'm gonna probably put my 2018 schedule below, and you'll see there exercise is just one word, because there's no need for me to look at things like which body parts to stretch, because I do it practically half in my sleep. Like I wake up and it's a lot of times the first thing I do. I don't have to think consciously. I just feel the stretch, right? So I don't have to write out anymore exactly what to stretch, because I don't look at the schedule anymore. That's just part of me, right? So that's how it evolves. All right. Like I said, it's going to be all over the place, right? Okay, so that's that. Schedule. The most important thing, right? So let me take you a little bit through mine. Right now, for 2018, my schedule is pretty much, I wake up without an alarm, just so you know, right? And this is another something that I'm not going to be able to summarize, but a lot of the stuff I'm going to share with you, there was massive amount of testing, from my side, right? And some of the stuff, it was a torturous amount of testing, right? I'm pretty anal about trying to optimize the best way to get the best flow of work and output. Basically, long story short, I'm happiest when I feel like I'm the shit. That's how to summarize it. I'm happiest when I feel like, oh yeah, if I eat my breakfast right then and there, then I'll be productive to take on my creativity. And after that, then I can go to the gym and come back and I'm refreshing. All this stuff, I feel like I can move stuff around, and the way I feel most happy is when I'm in a schedule that is most productive. All right. So anyways, that being said, as I was about to say, right now my schedule is pretty much, wake up, head to the kitchen, get a big glass of water and take a fish oil. That's actually something that's been on the list all throughout the years, right? Since the beginning, all right? Then it is very quickly, first is brush my teeth, then the water, then come back and then meditate, right? I have talked about meditate for several times now. At this point, all I can really say is that, guys, like, as we progress, whether you're an SEO or whatever, if you're an entrepreneur or not, there's certain things that you find out in life which works, period, right? Like, if you build your own PBNs and you build it right and you link out to your clients' websites, right? If you build out like Couple and you link out like 1 or 2 links, there's like 60 to 70% chance, more like 70 to 80% chance that your client is gonna get pushed up, right? Especially if you're local. So it's like, no duh, you're gonna build it. It's like freaking 70, 80%. That's a success rate. This is one of the things that's 100%, right? There's very few things in life that's 100% of the time successful. Literally the next 10 days, if you have to schedule out, and I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna dedicate 10 minutes to meditation every single day in the morning. 10 out of 10 times, every single time, 100%, I would come out of the other side more calm, focused, have clarity, feel a way where I the little bumps of the day and here and there wouldn't get my emotions rocking as much. I feel more focused, right? It's not just for business. This is a necessity in my thing. I do not know how this is not pushed harder by other entrepreneurs. I don't get it. Can people achieve greatness without it? Yes, of course. But 100%, I'm sure in my experience that all the people who can would be at a better place if they were to meditate. They're probably good at what they do because they're go-getters, they're hustlers. Maybe they're genetically a bit more focused, whatever it is, I don't know. But hands down, it is one of the most important things that I believe everybody should take on in their life, right? Heck, even 5 minutes per day, try it for the next 2 weeks of your life, right? Be consistent, give it a good attempt, and within the next 2 weeks, after 2 weeks, you will know your answer. You'll know if this is all just bogus or if it actually works, right? So that's all on meditation, I'm gonna say, okay? So that's what I do next, right? Fasted, without any breakfast yet, because that's where I feel like I get the most out of it. And then after that, I get right into it. I do the most important 1 to 3 tasks, right? Depending on how big the sizes are, 1 to 3 tasks. And this is the work I do before my assistant wakes up. So you can kind of guess, I usually wake up around 4:30 to 5:30 a.m., right? It's not like exactly alarmed, but around that range, because I go to sleep pretty early, right? I'm in bed by like 10 o'clock usually. So anyways, so let me do a little walkthrough. Let's see. This is gonna be a long video, like I said. This is like my New Year's video, guys. All right, so you can see, like, all right, wake up, right? Come here. This is where I meditate, and then I want to show you guys a little bit about my workflow, how it works. So at this time, a lot of times, I'll be here with the computer, as you guys can see, and I'll tell you why I'm showing this, because I'm pretty anal about this shit. This box right here allows me exact height for my head. My computer screen opens up and it's pretty much like almost straight. It's maybe a little tilt down, but it's straight, right? My neck won't ache from this angle. If it's like this and the computer was there, after some time my neck would ache. Okay, fixed with the box. Now what's the next problem? I'll be always typing like this, right? My shoulders would shrug up, almost like my body triggering anger when I'm not angry yet, right? It's tension. So I fixed that by getting this keyboard. This little wireless keyboard. Now if you see, it's a 90-degree angle. It's common shit, people talk about it all the time, but it's really important. Your head is straight, your thing is straight, and I'm standing most of my day. Literally, like I stand, I got used to it, right? Your legs will ache the first 3 days if you stand all day, and after that it becomes normal, right? It's anybody who worked with, most jobs where you have to stand, I don't know, fixing restaurants or something like that, walking all day, or worked in like any sales where you're over the counter, a lot of times they have you stand. You realize that the first 3-4 days your legs hurt, and then after that you become okay. But I just want to show that part because I feel it's really important. Ever since I got the standing desk, it like revolutionized a lot of my workflow, because one of the big things I could say is you want to take care of your body, right? Again, one of those common things, but I am extra health conscious because of some what I call now blessings I got. I had some health problems before, but basically what I learned, one of the things is being grateful for certain things before you lose it, right? Usually as we're growing up, before age 20, I feel like we're never grateful for anything until we lose it. Then once you lose some things and you learn from it, you can start gearing yourself to be grateful for things before you lose. For example, one of the things I wake up, after when I stretch, one of the things after I wake up, after meditation or before meditation, is my hands. Now, there's nothing wrong with my hands unless I play like a day of games. But it's one thing I realize is, we're always on the computer. We're either sitting or we're always typing, right? So I make sure if there's anything to stretch, is I at least stretch my hands in the morning, all the fingers, and then since my back is predisposition, I think that's the word, to be in in a bad state over time, right? Because my occupation is such that I'm always on the computer and stuff like that. I sit only when I eat, and I don't want to make this a rule. It's just I'm going to try to finish this part really quick, but it's not just a rule. Like you can sit half the day, you can stand half the day, but basically I stand most of the day because I don't want my back to be rounded and getting in that kind of pain, because it's a common thing that happens to older people, right? So you got to kind of learn from some averages of some sort. So take it what that is for. I know if you're young and you're watching this, you're like, so you expect me to like freaking stretch my hands every day even before it aches or anything, and I get it. If you're in that point, then this year just try starting with being grateful, period. For something you already have right now. If you can watch this video, in some ways you should be grateful. So start there. That's a good start if you're like under 20 or 18, because putting a commitment to stretch your hands when it's not hurting might be a bit too far for some of you. Anyways, so that's that. So where are we? I did this, I did meditate, then I just finished the first 1 to 3 most important tasks, and now it's right around 8 to 9 o'clock, right? This is where my assistant joins me. She starts the day, and we started off with a huddle. So my team is pretty much my assistant, and we have a few people that I reach out to for help for website and stuff here and there, which is not really in the team, which is like gig based, right? But if you have a team, or if you have anybody who works with you, it's so beneficial to have this thing we call a huddle in the morning, right? Where basically, well, it actually starts the night before. The night before I sleep, I write down all the stuff that we have to do the next day. Don't write out all your stuff in the morning. I know a lot of people advise that. Actually, I don't even know. When I wake up in the morning, I'm groggy. I don't want to think anything. I even put my pajamas folded next to my chair and my slippers out there where I'm gonna get out of the bed, because the floor is cold and it's winter. So I get up, I just change, and right there, wear my slippers, and then I start the day, right? No thinking required. Followed by that, once I'm ready after meditation, I have all the stuff I need to do right there, and then all the stuff my assistant needs to do there as well, right? And then once she wakes up, I go through it with her one more time, because what I realize, if you're like me, while I'm working throughout the day, if somebody interrupts me, even a phone call or somebody, if something, a simple question she asks me that I have to go over and do that, it hinders me down, right? It slows me down. I lose focus in what I'm gonna do if I have to keep on going back and forth. What I do is instead go through everything she has to do and make sure she understands it right there, right? Go through the main points, and when she's like, yeah, clear, I can do this, execute it until I'm done, I'm like, all right, great, go. She's set to go, right? So that's the next thing that happens. And then I continue working. Now, based on how 2018 is gonna look like, it's going to revolve a bit in the beginning. I might be going towards doing SEO in the morning or calling, but I would recommend after your main work is done, you should do the most difficult stuff out of the way, right? Because after your first meal, you're going to have a, how do you say, your creativity is going to go whack down, that's just the plain huge down after the first meal. And also your energy, right? Now energy, it will be fixed, after you eat. If you take some break off, time off, whatever, you come back, that'll be fine. But from in my experience, my creativity never comes back the same way. Like, ask yourself, the last time you had like actually something to figure out, maybe some kind of problem that you don't know exactly what the solution is, and you have to like figure it out. Compare how you felt when you were trying to do it fresh in the morning compared to like after lunch or after dinner. It's never the same. Morning you're much more powerful, focused, and things like that. So I'll get that out of the way before the first meal. So then it's the first meal. Let's talk about that. So let me see. How do I summarize this? Where are we? 15 minutes. I'm gonna try to make this video in like 40 minutes. Feel bad for you guys, but all right. Diet. So what you're looking at is organic turmeric, curry powder, normal turmeric, I mean, garlic, cinnamon, onion, obviously you see the adobo, and salt. These are the shit I use to cook the same chicken for the last 3 years. Actually, this should be closed up. For the last 3 years, but I learned to make it different ever so slightly here and there whenever my mood is for that week. But it has given me the luxury to be able to eat home at all times for 95% of my meals and still not lose my sanity. Now, the reason I'm sharing with you guys is this, and I actually took the time to go to the kitchen, is because this is something that I realize is kind of annoying to me, and got annoying to me not too long ago, and that is this. Every time people ask me, or if somebody came to visit me, something like, shit man, you eat that every time, how do you do that? And what I would do every time, in the last 2 years, because it's really been the same, like even when I was selling life insurance, I was packing like rice, chicken, eggs, and it was the same food I've been eating literally for like 3-4 years, every single meal, except for vacations and all that shit. But literally guys, it's like 95% of my meal. You might be thinking I'm crazy too, but the problem with that is that every time people told me that, I never owned it. Okay? Every time a friend came and visited me and said that thing, I was like, yeah man, life's a struggle, you gotta, focus, and the hustle goes on and all this shit. I would give them such bullshit excuse when in reality, the reason I eat the same food is because it's the only way I can stick to a schedule that works with me and it is cleaner, right? So I'll talk about the schedule part in a bit. Let me talk about the cleaner part, okay? And this is a challenge to anybody who can, take me on, right? In my experience, anywhere you eat, whatever restaurant you pick, there's no place. I tried so many places, like, I was eating the same thing for a while in like 2013, 14, whatever, but there was times where I was like, okay, let me start trying to eat this. This sounds healthy. I don't care what it is. Chipotle, Subway's not healthy. Anything else. There's nothing that I can see that I can eat every single meal and it'll be fine. If you don't believe me, test it. But before you test it, obviously you'd have to get into a frame where, get your body in a frame where first it knows what is clean, okay? So start meditating, start drinking just water, start only eating the right foods and stuff like that, at least for 3 months. And after that, cycle out a restaurant that you think is healthy, and I can guarantee you it doesn't exist. Period. That's one of the main reasons why I eat home, because even if I was to get the same exact shit somewhere else with a bit different spices, it just fucks me up if I keep on eating it. Now, that's what I'm saying. This is not about me convincing you guys, hey, never eat outside again. Of course, what the hell? You're gonna eat outside, you're gonna go out and enjoy life, whatever. But for the meals that you're gonna be eating for 95% of your life, most of your meals, if it is a food that is hindering you or fucking you up, worse, it's just going to be a tremendous part of your lifestyle that you're going to be missing out on, right? You're not going to have the focus and all the other shit. I mean, you are what you eat, right? They say. So that's one of the things, right? Now, if somebody can find out, like restaurant, they're like, hey man, I tried this out and it actually works, I'll be, that'll be a help for me, right? But from what my experience is, I eat home because it's the easiest, it works with my schedule, and it is actually healthier. When I eat home, nothing fucks me up. Right? Even if I was to eat chicken outside without the carbs and all that shit or whatever you call healthy, it's still, given I eat enough of it and I eat that meal continuously 4, 5, 6 times, it will have an effect. So that's that. There, I defended my meal plan finally. So now that I got out of the way, let me give you guys some basic things on diet, right? One of the first things, as I said, is that it should, whatever you're trying to accomplish in some way should dictate what you're doing, right? 2014, I was eating whatever I could get my hands on that had put muscle and bulk on me. I was getting coma 2-3 times a day. I was like, getting sleepy and my mood swings are all over the place. But it's fine because, that time my goals were gym and everything like that. But right now my goals are different, right? If you're watching this, a lot of you guys' goals might be, what you do in your day might require you to have creativity, focus, the ability to make decisions. Test this, guys. Like, test this. We always test rankings, clients, and stuff like that. But do you ever test your actual happiness, or whatever you call that, to your own self? Your mood after you eat something, your problem-solving, capacity. Basically, how your cognitive function is right after you eat certain foods, right? You think that it has a lot to do with, what your life is happening out there and stuff like that. But a lot of it is just in what you eat. This is why I'm talking about diet even before exercise. Because if you eat right and you're somewhat active and you're not fucking yourself up by sitting crouched all the day and you're somewhat active and you do some stretches, you'll be fine, right? But if you're exercising but eating like shit every single meal, I think you're gonna not make it, in my book, right? So diet is more important than exercise, but having that said, you shouldn't choose one or the other because it's pretty stupid. Anybody who starts one and goes in that direction, they're gonna end up doing both because they see the benefit of two together. But anyways, I keep having like blank thoughts, right? I can't make this entire video at once. Like I'm trying to think. All right, so the next part for diet, right, is this realization that you can absolutely change your entire preference for what you like when it comes to food, right? And the reason I put emphasis on the word preference is because a lot of times when we get started in trying to eat right is because we come from a place of willpower, right? A lot of times, for me, it's always things like I'm just sick and tired of feeling like shit and feeling like this and that. It's time I'm gonna take charge of my own shit and do this and this. And I go hardcore. A lot of times it's way too extreme, and then I readjust and fix things and I retest and all this shit until I find a balance that works, right? But the point is, in the beginning, and which is fine, you start with a lot of willpower, right? But what you have to realize is, that doesn't have to carry you all the way forever. For now, right? It's not gonna be like that difficult forever. If it was, then most people would fail. Imagine you having to keep a habit to eat well. Imagine every day. Like let's say like 3 years from now, after you start your diet, you still wake up and like, all right, today I promise I want to eat all my broccolis, and you have to go hardcore like that. You would eventually one day fail, right? The reason why people do it in the beginning, you feel like that. You're like, fuck, today, day one, scratch it out of the calendar. Yeah, one more day, motherfucker, like that. It's great to get started, okay? Don't get me wrong. That's where you need to be when you get started a lot of times, right? But what you realize is that, or what you have to at least know, that way easier days are coming because something else takes over, okay? It shifts from needing to use your willpower to do it every day to something like habit, right? It becomes your habit. Your preference for what you think tastes good now literally changes. You can make it go 180, okay? Now I'm gonna give you some examples that are absolutely 100% true, okay? I used to love eating, I'm not gonna lie and say I was a complete pig and I was eating like McDonald's 3 meals a day or something, but I used to like, fried food, chips, French fries, all this stuff, mayonnaise, burgers and shit like that, right? When I started eating right, it was difficult in the beginning, as everything else, but after some time, it became neutral. It wasn't as hard as well. But right now, at this point, it's crazy to me because I actually don't crave it at all. Yeah, I'll have a burger, I'll have some French fries when there's some social event, but it's hard to describe. It's not that I completely hate it, but there's almost zero pull. I almost have a little bit disgust for fried food. McDonald's and shit, it's completely out of the question. Like there's no fucking, I would have to be starving to eat there. But the point is, it changes. This happened with alcohol for me. I used to love drinking. I used to actually like alcohol. Like I like tequila. I used to like vodka. I literally like drinking it, right? It's not just I used to just get drunk for the hype. I loved the taste and everything like that for certain vodkas and shit like that when I was in high school. And at this point, the last time I drank, I was like questioning myself for 2 days. Like I can't believe this was normal before. because your preferences actually change completely. Now guys, the last thing I want to say for diet is that diet, it comes down to testing. I can't stress this enough. You got to test, right? Everybody's different, and that's not just a saying, it literally is true, right? We all know our outstanding bright differences. For example, like, you know, eating beans makes you gassy, spicy makes your nose run. We only know those, right? But there's hundreds of other layers that we go unforeseen because we're just living life through like some kind of blur, right? Once you start testing and you become mindful, other similarities come in place. I would recommend starting from a place of energy and focus and clarity, right? That would be the metric. And if you go by that metric, you're going to be able to test certain things, right? You realize that, okay, in the morning, if I eat carbs, then I get sluggish. But if I was to eat just like a protein-based eggs and chicken and stuff like that, then I can still be able to, you know, continue without being hungry, but I don't have that massive spike down of, you know, massive fall in creativity and energy, right? Carbs do that to me. And you can only find these things out once you start testing it, right? There's too much shit online. Right? Maybe you can follow somebody on YouTube, some of the gurus. I used to follow Elliot Hulse and stuff like that. That will help. But if you try to do nutrition, it just won't make sense. It will never pan out, right? It's not about who's the smartest guy, who has the most nutrition facts memorized and all this shit. It's about testing it and having an intelligent system that works with your own body, right? A system, right? I'm not here eating, you know, replacing rice with quinoa beans because it has a bit more of, you know, vitamins and shit. I just have a system that works with me, and I can follow it day in and day out. That doesn't harm me, and it works with me, right? That's what's more important. I have friends who tell me, hey, you know, broccoli was made by humans. It's actually not a real vegetable. And I'm like, what the fuck? I look it up. I'm like, oh, it's true. He's like, yeah, don't eat it. I'm like, what the fuck? Most of my vegetables come from, the source of my vegetables is broccoli, right? But their health sucks. They don't execute any. They just fill their head up with all kinds of information. Point being, test it, find what works, and make simple principles that make you easy to follow them. All right? That's that. Okay? Start testing. If I had to tell you how to start testing, like I said, choose a metric that's important to you. For me, it's focus and clarity, and then keep everything equal, and then start taking out one or two. Like I said, if you're a complete pig right now, and then your main goal was to be just to start eating healthy overall to start with, right? That. Other thing, only drink water. One sentence, done. It's one of the first things I did. You know, I literally had a jug, and I used to mark it. It's a gallon jug. I used to mark it. This is like in first year college, or like second year college. I used to mark it, and it was a gallon. I would have to finish it by the end of the day. And it was one of my things. And I was never a soda drinker, like a big soda drinker, but that taught me how to crave water. I used to be a person who drinks like a glass of water every 2 days, literally. And once I did that, I'd be grown into a person who is thirsty all the time, right? Now I drink glasses of water throughout the day. I can't go out. I want one right now because I'm talking so much. So anyways, that's one thing, and it's one of the little, you know, tweaks that I did, even for my mom, which made a huge difference, right? And she was struggling for a long time to get under a certain weight barrier, and she was convinced that, oh no, this is my bottom mark. I just can't go under 56. I'm like, no, like you can become 53. That's most of diet. That sums up a lot of it. Obviously, there's so much little things that I can't put in one video. But if you guys are interested in focus, I know coffee works great. If you're not a coffee drinker now, I would highly recommend going about the whole diet thing first, finding your groove in it and seeing what works and getting into the whole habit of eating fresh and healthy for yourself. Grow that taste, grow that change in you first, where basically you understand intuitively that food is for my health and energy. It's not something that I indulge on every time my life is lacking in some other aspect of it. Okay, so once you got that down, after your lunch, so if you're someone like me who has your big meal and then you carry on, you know, after that for the rest of your day, after lunch I would have a cup of coffee. I put no more than half a teaspoon of coffee. I'm so sensitive, right? A lot of people are probably not gonna be like me, but I put that and I am off the wall, like absolutely, like I'm actually happy, I'm joyful, I almost enjoy working on coffee, right? Like whatever's hard, it has the effect of Ritalin and Adderall without the crash, without the jitteriness, right? Coffee is fucking amazing, right? So I use that for twice a week, sometimes 3 times, you know, depending on if it's a, you know, it's a week that I'm really like trying to crush it or get things done. So that's one of the things. Another one I would recommend is juicing, right? I made some videos about nootropics, and to be honest, I was probably trying to make it sound better than it was, but when I tested it in the long term, there was not much benefits, right? It just didn't. I only tried out 2 brands, but I cut it off. The reason I cut it off is because I was getting so interested into these things, like, oh, mind drugs, they don't have any harmful effects and they make you focus. So I was like getting into it, but I realized that juicing can give you actually more benefit than that, and you actually feel it, which is insane to me. It's so awesome because if you really think about it, which foods can you really eat that you actually feel a boost of clarity or a boost of focus right after? Juicing, you do. You put freaking carrots, spinach, cucumbers, put a bunch of vegetables, cram in one, have the whole thing, and you literally feel a pretty good boost. You feel clarity, you feel refreshed, and it's insane to me, right? So right off the bat, as soon as I found that out, I started juicing, and I said no to all the nootropics. In fact, I should sell some of them because they were pretty expensive, right? Those are not cheap shit. So that's about that, and that sums up diet. Alright guys, had to come back inside. They're just getting way too dark and cold. Alright, so I'm going to try to make this part, the last part, as short as possible, which is sad because it's probably one of my favorite parts, right? I mean, it is my favorite part, which is exercise. So, I was even thinking about, before I started, how to word this in this video so it actually makes sense, but there's just so much shit that I would love to talk about, and it's impossible to put all in one video. That being said, I'll try to generalize it, but I want you guys to take a moment and follow me with this example. Okay, for exercise, right? Let's say in this scenario there was 2 people, right? 2 people that you're betting on. These 2 guys, John and Bob. John and Bob are trying to achieve things in their life, right? They're both trying to start businesses in some ways in the same industry. All things are equal, right? They're pretty much the same people. They eat the same thing, but Bob does one thing that John doesn't. And what Bob does is that some part during his day, he does this like weird ritual, right? Weird ritual where he like sets goals and sets these like checkpoints or things to hit, not through his intellect, not through his wittiness, not through his selling and calling and business decision making skills, but for his body, right? For his body to set these, he sets these marks for his body to hit. And he goes really hard for him to achieve these things. And at the end of these little rituals, a lot of times he's kind of exhausted, but he's relieved, and it reassures him in some ways by being able to hit those things by his body. He intuitively is able to feel everything he's able to achieve when holistically with his body and mind and other aspects of his life, right? I don't know how that came out, but would you say from that example you can kind of like see in another light of the importance of exercise, of how it can fit into somebody's life? Maybe almost to a point where there should be no differentiation between exercise and other things we prioritize, things like happiness and whatever, like life goals, family, and all this shit. Then that's about correct. That's what I'm trying to convey, right? There's 2 main umbrellas I can say, in my whole experience since I started working on all this stuff that I can say, right? One is hobby. Hobby is things like you want to, lose weight, you want to get muscle, you want to gain weight, you want to be able to bench press this, that. Great. You want to get that, go get it. It's a fantastic way to start, all that shit, right? But exercise often starts at a hobby, but then when life takes over or other things happen, or let's say you achieve it even, and then you move on, a lot of times older people, then they stop because now you're older, you have other priorities. But then there's another umbrella where this falls into, which would make you realize that you should never be at a point where there's no kind of exercise whatsoever. And that umbrella is general health, general life, you could call it, right? And I'm not just saying this, I kind of lived it and do live it because, in 2000 what? I forgot when, but I had to go to a surgery. And since I got the surgery, and before I even got the surgery, actually, to be honest, the troublesome I was having and was my breath. I got interested in meditation because I was having trouble breathing due to my whatever problem I had. I forgot now. This bone was crooked or some shit. And I got into exercise, right? It's around the same time. It's around 2013-14. And once I got my surgery, I became well, and I really appreciated the importance of health. And till now, if you can see in the back, that's my second priority goal for this year, which is to exercise every day, be active every day, right? Now, at this point, it's the first time I'm doing it like this every single day, because I don't have a goal I'm going for. I'm not trying to gain more weight. I'm not trying to get more muscle or anything. I'm just trying to be active, right? It's freaking cold outside. If it's 30s, 40s, that's one thing. Now it's kind of freezing, right? By the time I get to the gym, I'm exhausted. I'm almost pissed off. It's super cold. My energy's down. So what I do is work out at home most of the days, unless it starts to get sunny. But the point is, I'm putting my foot down on the pressure to just be active every single day, to just reach that exertion. It boosts my energy. It takes weight off my shoulders. I feel at ease. I feel serenity after I reach that point, right? Whether you can do cardio, that works the best for me, but that is the bare minimum that I believe anybody should be doing for them to make it in life, and holistically in any direction, right? All right, guys, I'm trying to conclude this. I was thinking about putting some specific, ways that you can make the exercise easier for you, but I realized that that's gonna go on for at least 20 more minutes. So I'm trying to conclude it here. All I can say is stick to simplicity, right? The intelligence in simplicity is so underrated, right? Pick a program, Google the first one that gets you a little bit interested. Stick to that. Tell yourself that it came out of heaven. It fell on your lap, and it's as if like an echoey voice told you that is the program for you. And stick to that so you can build a habit, right? Until you become a person who intuitively understands that this is a necessity for you to live a normal life, right? Once you get that down, then you can venture on to other things that, the new fasting routine, a new program in CrossFit. Actually, not CrossFit. That's one, stay out of CrossFit. But you get it, right? You can venture other ones. The reason I show some hate on CrossFit is because I got sick of how many people fall for this trend, right? Guys, these are just trends. Stop falling for these newest marketing and techniques and all this shit. It doesn't exist. Most of your gains or most of your benefits or whatever your goals are going to be achieved from habit on getting it done and just putting in the time and being consistent, right? 50, 60-year-olds in the gym who's trying out CrossFit and saying like, hey man, it's brutal, man, all this shit. And I'm thinking like, really guys? Like, how sustainable is that? Like, in 10 years, your bones are going to be worn out. Not hating on older people, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you're going to do a pull-up, and then right after that, you're going to do a deadlift. Like, what's going to happen to your rotator cuffs? Like, in 10 years maximum, in a decade, if you try to do that sport, you're going to fuck shit up, right? It just doesn't make sense. I get it if you're super young. It's a sport you really actually love, enjoy, and you're going to go full at it. Like, hell, then go at it. Why not? If you're young, a lot of shit you can fuck up and re-heal. And even if you don't heal, right? Another thing that nobody talks about is that it's a different dynamic. You're young. At least you are going at something that's to doing with exercise, and you will gain values that go well beyond just the muscle gains, right? At that age, at an 18-year-old age, you could be somewhere else robbing people. You could be somewhere else taking drugs in the streets. Like that. At least you're in something with exercise. You'll gain those values, and they can venture on to other stuff, right? But if you're 50, 60 years old, that dynamic is not with you. That's playing at a bigger toll, right? It's for you. It's more important to take it simple. And actually, I would say that for all ages. That's just an example I'm giving, right? So, anyways, guys, the last thing I want to say about this entire thing, right? Talk about meditation, highlighted meditation, diet, exercise, right? There's a few more things that come after that, such as getting in the habit of reading books, associating yourself with people that are at a higher level. I don't have much friends around me, but when I started this journey, as I told you, I had one friend who went through it with me, and the rest of the friends was basically people who are already dead. Talking about authors of books, some people online on YouTube, and they were mentors to me, but it helped that I associated myself directly with them. I held them to their thought level. What would they do? How they think, right? And they were my my subconscious, like, because I was reading these books all the time, they became my subconscious. And it wasn't, let's say like my distant friend who keeps on saying shit like, you're really going to the gym and chase this ball around or whatever. I didn't have that person in my life, but a lot of times people have haters that are disguised as friends, and I get it. That could play a part, but the point is, associating yourself with people that are trying to get somewhere as well makes a massive difference, and that would come next if I was to elongate the video to that point. But since I'm trying to end it here, I will retry to conclude this video saying that these 4 pillars, right? Meditation, diet, and exercise. Wait, meditation, diet, and exercise, right? Yeah, I guess 3, right? What they fall into is an overall thing that I would finally call happiness. If you know me and you watch my video for some time, you know by now that I'm the type of person who likes to avoid these general keywords. Words. Too much SEO. Like happiness, like hustle, like passion, because it's just easy for me to throw these words around and people take it as something else, right? But this is one of those few times where I feel like I can really hit home with one big word like happiness and really put my foot down and still break it down and win on the other side. And this is why. Because I've tested this shit, right? Happiness is so tempting for us to think that it is because I'm not getting clients. I'm not happy because my business is not growing. I'm not happy because my girlfriend cheating on me, my parents are divorced, all this stuff that the cruel world is breaking down on us, and that's why I'm ripped apart and I'm trying to be a fighter. And boy, is that a story. And I don't blame you, that just makes sense, right? We want that story. We want to embody that story, that we are not happy because of all these other stuff. But the reality, the truth of the matter is that you're not happy is because of what the fuck you ate for lunch. You're not happy because you weren't active this whole week. You're not happy because of your lifestyle. I would say as far as 70 to 80% of all what I call happiness, like literally my mood, of my inner joy of how I feel day to day, is directly tied to these 3 things. If I'm not eating well, what I'm not putting myself in my body is not well, so it's not, my mood swings all over the place. If I'm not active, I have no exertion of what I am, which is I live in a body and I'm not exercising it. It's never active. It's like holding a pet down and not letting it walk around, and you're always in a chair and stuff, and so you're congested up in your head, and at the same time you're not even tapping into what you are eternally, which is a spirit, and you can tap into that through meditation or mindfulness, even things like taking a long quiet walk or some kind of yoga, and you're not doing none of that shit. What are you? You're not gonna cater to your body, you're not gonna cater to your spirit, then what do you think you're gonna be? Happy, like you're not gonna, this is happiness. You get it, how it spells it out? This is what it comes down to. Once you have this part, you are already a winner, right? If you're failing at life right now, let's say you consider yourself, you can already be at 70, 80%. From tomorrow, you can be at a B+ by doing these 3 pillars. And then the other stuff is gonna come as you go by, getting your Ferraris that you want, getting your houses, and that's part of it. That's in the upper 20% and shit, I get it. But this is where the foundation is, right? And I've tested this. Again, I'm saying this so many times because so many times I've taken shit out. There was times I took the whole thing out. Like, after college, I had a time where I was like, I call this entire thing a phase. I was like, this is something, meditation, exercise, eating well, all this stuff. It's something I just did, because I was in college, I was testing this stuff. It's a phase I went through, just like high school. Now I'm going to go on to venture into other stuff. But guess what happened? My life started to fall apart. I started to get depressed. Things just didn't work out until I got back into exercise routine, until I started meditating again, until I started to eat well again, right? So if you watch this till this part, and I don't know if anybody's really going to watch this till this part, you're obviously serious about this shit. You're obviously looking to make 2018 really something that is unlike you have ever made before in your life. And I'm here, really telling you genuinely that this is the foundation that is going to support you at every single step of the process. All right? So I hope you got something out of it. And you guys can comment below. I would love to have you guys comment something below that you would like to maybe have me elaborate on. And yeah, other than that, Happy New Year's, guys. Take care. See you guys from tomorrow.